Hmm? What were you saying? I've gone camera shy now. Oh, what were you just saying?
Welcome to my newest episode about how to build a back drawers. You follow my steps and you'll end up with having awesome van as I have. Oh, don't forget to subscribe.
Welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to be fitting out and completing the underbed storage or the garage area. So I really want to maximize the storage of this thing, so I want to be putting in a couple of pull-out drawers on some super heavy duty drawer slides so we can put a lot of weight in it. So I'm going to have two big drawers underneath the bed, and then the piece de resistance is going to be the pull-out deck. It's going to be a big pull-out deck about 1.5 meters long, and it's also going to be the base of our shower, so when we shower we don't have to stand in the mud. So that's going to be really fun and interesting to build. Before I get started on that, I just got to cover up the walls here, so I'm going to make it look all pretty, cover up all the wiring and the pipes and the insulation, and then I'm going to start the build. So the plan is I've got these big 250 kilogram drawer slides. So at full extent these are 1.3 meters long, and I think the maximum load capacity at the full extent is about 180 kilos. So that's going to be plenty enough. Got to try to keep the deck as light as possible. But essentially these are going to sit here, on one on this side and one on this side, and then the deck is going to pull out from underneath a false floor. Then for these two drawers, I'm going to have to make a bit of framing with some timber, and then another set is going to sit up here like this, and then two in the middle, and then I'm going to have these two big drawers that pull out on massive heavy drawer slides, so I'll be able to put pretty much anything we want in those drawers. Yeah, you can see the basic frame construction here. So I changed my mind a little bit. There's going to be one big pull out drawer here, one big pull out drawer here, and then this center part is going to be open so we can slot in chairs, table, anything long. So that's going to be enclosed with plywood here. So the way that I supported this, because this is going to be like the load bearing portion of the drawers, is I cut down 70 by 35s in half. So I've got basically 35 by 35s, and I've just used my trusty hole jig, pocket hole jig, and screwed and glued all these, and same as into the wall here. And then all the really heavy load bearing stuff for the drawers, I've actually put a little lug underneath it, a piece of wood, so it's screwed in through the back here, but it's also supported underneath on all these rungs, and then same at the back too, so these things aren't going anywhere and they're super stiff.
Heavy.
Is that heavy?
I used to do bodybuilding, so I'm fine.
It's actually really heavy.
Oh, that's not the big.
Okay, I'll come help. I reckon that weighs about 40 kilos, 50 kilos. Yeah, that's heavy. So there's two sets in here. Don't hurt yourself. So the next thing actually we're going to do is try and mount these drawer slides onto the wood on the sides for the drawers. These are really heavy. I reckon these things probably weigh about 12 to 10 kilos each, and they're not that cheap. I bought them on Amazon, so I'll leave the link in the description. Oh, I'm stuck.
You have to curl like an army. Oh, you didn't go to Swiss Army, sorry.
So these are labelled left and right, thankfully. The sides in, and I'm only just tacking these in with a couple of screws, so if I need to do any more adjustments later, that it'll be easy. I don't have to take out like 15 screws. So drawer sliders are in. So these are locking drawer slides too, so they don't go back in until you hit this little tab, which is good, so the drawers don't slide in. So even though these are actually called 250 kilogram drawer slides, they don't hold 250 kilograms. They range, as the longer they get, the less they hold. These ones are 130 centimeters and they will hold 180 kilograms at full extent. So that's just to be mindful. The longer you go, the less they hold. Back area is starting to take shape. I've just boxed in this little slide-in storage area, so that's pretty much going to be like that. And I'll put some marine carpet on here just to make it a bit nicer. What I think I'm going to do now is fix this shower setup, make it nice and pretty. So this hose hangs down so it's not visible until you kind of pull the shower out. And then there's going to be a front for the tap, so all these little fittings and everything, the hoses are going to be hidden. Okay, I just finished the shower holder and where the handle is going to be and everything, so I made it tucked away in this nice little box. This little extra piece that goes on here. I use shark bite for all my plumbing. It's kind of very easy to DIY it. You don't need any crimps or anything. You kind of just cut this pipe, slot it straight into here, and if you've made a mistake, you can take the pipe out by pushing down on these little click things here. Great for van life because it's super customizable. Yeah, so shark bite is a form of PEX piping, I suppose, and it's just really easy. You buy these little PEX fittings, it just all slots together really easy. And I just custom made this little shower knob holder, so it's just a little piece of pine, and the plan is that you're just going to have to pull that out when you want to shower and then push it back in, or you're probably going to have to feed the hose in a little bit, but it's going to look really nice. Okay, that is the quick and easy way how to make a drawer. This one doesn't have to look that great. It's really quick cut on the table saw, liquid nail and nail gun together, and then we will put a couple of screws in just to reinforce the nails. From plywood to drawer, that took me less than half an hour. The next thing I'm going to do now is build just the back deck. It's going to pull out under a false floor underneath the garage. It's going to be a little deck we can chill on, but also it's going to be our shower platform. So the shower is going to be on the back doors, and so we don't have to shower in the mud and like kind of, you know, shower and have all the water drip down into the grass or wherever you're going to stand, you get muddy feet. We're going to use it as a shower platform. So that in turn comes with its own issues if there's going to be running water onto the deck. The deck's got to be waterproof, and we don't want any water to be coming back into the van. And also that the heavy duty hinges aren't stainless steel, so they're going to have to be protected. I don't think there's going to be a lot of water running down onto it, but that's problems that I have to solve. There's two ways I can build this deck. I can have it as a slatted deck similar to what we did on the rooftop, and then the water would just flow underneath the deck, or we can make it as a solid deck, so the water would pull over the sides, and then I think underneath the deck would stay a lot drier. So when we want to push the deck back in, it's going to be a lot easier to keep dry, so we keep the moisture out of the van. So I think that's the way I'm going to run with it. I don't actually know how well it's going to work, but I want a deck anyway out there. So if we don't use it for a shower deck in the future because it doesn't quite work, it's still going to be a really cool deck just to have chill on the back if we don't want to go up onto the roof. I haven't seen many people make this kind of thing, so if you're interested, you want to build something like this, remember to subscribe, like the video. When you like the video, it pushes out my videos on the YouTube algorithm to other people that are interested in building something like this, and it's really going to help this channel out. So if you can, remember to hit the like button below. Alright, so the wood that I'm going to use for this is the exact same treated pine that I used for the rooftop deck, because it's really cheap compared to any kind of dressed timber. But because it comes with a rounded edge, when you join it together, you end up with a groove. I don't particularly want this groove because I want to have it like a flush flush join. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut off all those edges on the table saw, something like this, and then it's going to end up with a flush joint, and then I'm going to glue it and screw it together. It's going to come out a lot nicer than if I was to leave it with these grooves in the middle of the wood. So I've made the frame now for the pull-out deck, and you can see how this is kind of coming together. I've got these 2x4s on either side of the draw runners, which are holding the draw runners in, and they're screwed in quite rigorously with long screws into the subfloor. So that's pretty much just what's going to be holding all the weight. I really made sure that is on there tight. And then I built this little frame out of stripped down 2x4s, so they're 2x2s. It's really lightweight because this is dried timber, and it's actually really light. So the way this is going to work is this deck is going to be below this 2x4 level, and then there's going to be a false floor that sits on top of these two 2x4s, and then a layer of plywood goes over the top of this. So then we'll have a false floor here, pull-out deck, and then we can still slot stuff in there and use the trap door and the side door here. So what we're going to do now is make the actual deck. So I've got all the stripped down timber here, which we cut those round edges off, and you can see now that this is going to be nice and tightly joined. So we're going to glue this joint together and probably screw it onto the frame and make a nice decorative kind of wooden frame around it too. And what are we going to do, Vinny?
We're gonna sand it and then we're gonna stain it. So it's nice and brown and also brown.
And waterproof.
That's what I want to say, and I wasn't sure. Can we do this again? So they're nice, brown and waterproof.
I'm going to start screwing in the slide out deck now, and what I've done is I've stripped down some of this spotted gum I've got, which is a nice dark wood. It is quite heavy, but I've only done these really thin strips to give it a bit of an inlay, so it's not just a boring looking deck. Give it a bit of pizzazz and jazz. Now I'm going to screw and glue it all together. We'll give it a sand so it's all nice and flat, then we'll stain it, and then we'll mount it onto the van. What are you doing?
Just fulfilling tasks from my van builder and master.
In hindsight, yeah, this would have been a lot easier to paint before we put all the drawers in, but you know, that's hindsight for you. Pretty impressed with that. This thing is rock solid. So these draw runners hold 185 kilos, and I'm estimating the table to be about 30. So that gives us about 150 kilos to play with. I'm sure if you put 150 kilos right on the end, it's not going to cope. But I'd say if Andy was to sit at the front and I was to sit further back here, this thing would be more than easily cope with that weight. So. So to cover the faces of the back drawers and the back area, I'm going to be putting on some 9mm ply, and I really wanted to make it look like 9mm V-groove, but they didn't have it at the shop, so I'm literally just gonna make my own. I've got my router and I've got a V-groove bit on it, and all I'm doing is just measuring every 10 centimeters and running my router down to create little V-grooves. So I'm now going to glue these fronts on. I've just hot glued them on there just so I can see where they're all going to fit. Now I'm just going to use some liquid nails and hot glue so it's an instant bond, and then I won't have to screw it on. Little door. So yeah. So you can see the false floor now. It's come out really good. I had to use 2 pieces because it's wider than 1 sheet of plywood. And I added these little strips on the end just to cantilever the plywood from bowing down when I put weight on it. So because it's screwed into the beam here, I wanted a second attachment point. Going to keep it kind of like in this trajectory so it stops touching the deck underneath. I'm going to lay some carpet down on top of the false floor so we can chuck stuff in there and it's not going to slide around as easy. And I'm just going to glue that down with some liquid nails. Down the side here, I managed to sneak in a couple of fishing rods that go into one of the side seats. So just hooked them on with a couple of little pieces of wood. Okay, so I'm absolutely stoked at how this back area has turned out. The deck is really strong. It can hold both me and Vendy's weight easily. We've had breakfast on this a couple of times. The storage area is awesome. We've got these 2 big pull-out drawers and then this middle drawer. Then we're putting some yoga mats and long fishing rods down the side. We've got so much storage underneath. We found some big 60-litre bucket tubs that will slide in nice and easy on little rollers, so it perfectly fits. It's just worked out extremely well. The shower for the back deck is still here. We haven't actually completed the shower part of it. There still has to be a little shower mount put up onto this door and then some little privacy curtains, but that'll come out in another video. This video has already gone long enough. And as always, if you like this video, remember to hit that button down below. It'll really help this channel out. If you get anything out of our videos, remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the updates. The van is coming to near completion, so we got some really cool stuff yet to come, but then we'll have the big van tour release. But until then, we'll see you next time.